So hey everyone, welcome to another surnames interview with an age domains expert. So today we have Ravi with me, and he's the owner of SEOdn.com. So Ravi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Sumit. Thanks for having me, mate. It's been a pleasure. I've seen a few of your videos on YouTube, and there's a lot of information, and I hope I can contribute towards that. So how you been?
Yeah,
Pretty good?
it's all good, man. Like I've been recording some videos, so it's getting like pretty hard to find some people. But yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you.
No,
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's a
glad
good
that you.
initiative. Yeah. And
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
sharing is really good. I know when we started with SEOdn, because my primary business was Search Combat, Outreach Warrior,
Yeah.
doing link building and SEO. And when Josh, we spoke to Josh about acquiring SEOdn. Even I didn't knew much about age domains and stuff like that, but there was a learning curve, and there's a lot that people misunderstand, and there's a lot which nobody knows. So it's good to get that awareness out to the masses, where they can learn how to use age domains and keep them towards their benefit and grow their websites. I think I heard Matt Singer saying in one of the interviews that you'll be a fool if you're buying a new domain and starting fresh,
Yeah.
because gone are the days when that used to work. And so age domains, expired domains, I think they all work really great in my experience. But we'll talk about that. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, sure. So like in today's interview, like, are you going to share some case studies with us?
Yes, I've got a few case studies which I want to talk about. We did sell a domain early last year, and it was a premium domain, really good one. I can't disclose the domain because we don't own it, but it's grown really well over the time. We did help the company with some keyword research and stuff, and it's grown really good. And the other one was an expired domain, which one of the companies was using to set up a directory site. And this wasn't a very costly domain. It costed them under $100.
Okay, nice.
No backlinks were built to that domain, as far as I know. Some PBN links and stuff, but that domain has grown to like 10,000-15,000 traffic per month as well. So, like, the point I want to prove is, yes, you can spend thousands of dollars in buying premium domains. You will get traffic and authority and everything, but a lot of people think if a domain expires, you can't use it. That's not true. You can still use expired domains as long as you're ticking a few boxes. You are doing your checks, wayback checks, anchor text analysis, link profile checks, and everything else. They will still work. A domain is a domain. If it's clean and it's niche related, and you set it up in the same particular niche, you will get success. So yeah, we'll talk about that. But prior to that, do you have any other questions we want to start with, or you want to jump into it straight away?
Yeah, I think we can jump into it, and we can have like follow-up questions as per your case studies, right? So maybe you can just share your screen and like show what you have got,
sure.
right?
Let me share my screen here. I've got my son floating around somewhere, so if you see him, say hello.
Yeah.
All right. So a bit about myself. We've been doing SEO for like 4-5 years now. I own Search Combat and Outreach Warriors, which is purely SEO and link building services. And obviously, recently we acquired SEO domains and Rank Networks. That's my son. Hello. So we're just working through that. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I want to talk about like our domain vetting process, and I think that's the process we use in SEOdn, and I'm sure you might add to it because you also do similar kind of work, so you might have few things to add, or you might just agree to this process. But to acquire a good domain, obviously there are a lot of checks, right? And going through tons of websites, picking up thousands of domains, running them through your crawlers, running them through your Ahrefs, and then obviously doing wayback checks and everything else. it takes lots and lots of time, and then you come up with the cream of the crop where you might scan 10,000 domains in a day, and you might end up with like top 200 domains which you might be interested in, and then you have to start a bidding war in GoDaddy or other places where you try and win some of those domains, and then it goes in the market where you want to sell it. So it's not that easy process as you can. Sorry, that's just Rowan calling me. Sorry. Yeah. So it's not a easy process, as you will already know. But yeah, that's the process we use. We do backlink analysis, which does equate into both the quantity and the quality of the backlinks. You can easily increase the referring domains of a particular website by sending citations and Web 2.0 links or even profile links. But that doesn't mean they are quality links. They are just adding to the quantity. They are not quality links. So we check those things when we do our domain vetting. Obviously, anchor text analysis, where we analyze what sort of anchor text are coming to this particular domain. Is it all niche related? Is it all related to what the domain was originally planned for? Or is there dilution in terms of PBN setup or spam or even porn kind of anchor text coming to the website? So any of those red flags we see, we basically chuck the domain out. That doesn't pass our vetting process. And then obviously we have scripts where we can crawl maybe 1,000 domains within 10-20 minutes and get all the screenshot from a wayback machine, and then we manually analyze all those wayback checks. We analyze all the screenshots, and we basically make sure that the domain held the quality and the history. So we don't want a particular finance related domain was set up as a dental domain, then it moved to a PBN and moved somewhere else. So those kind of things need to be checked. And then obviously if there's a red flag, chuck the domain out. Metric balancing is more around, we use Ahref as a primary metric. We use Ahref to obviously check the RD and the DR of the domain. But on top of that, we also do, use other metrics like trust flows and citation flows and MOSDA and all that kind of good stuff. Because a lot of people have their allegiance towards Moz. Some people like Ahref. So everyone wants to know different features. What's the spam score of this one? What's the trust flow? So if you go to SEOdn, you'll see a lot of these metrics listed, because it just gives a peace of mind to a client where they can see all the metrics across all these crawling tools. So that's what the metric balancing is. And the link juice path analysis, it's basically just trying and understanding, okay, do majority of the links go to your inside pages rather than going to the home page? Because if that's the case, then there's a bit of exercise when you're doing your 301 redirection, or you have to add some 404 plugins, rebuild the pages and redirect them back to your home page. So there are different strategies for that sort of things, but all those things get checked when we are vetting for the domains. And of course, once all these checks are passed, only then a domain will be shown as a potential buy, and then we go ahead and we start acquiring or bidding for these domains, and that's how these domains end up on our websites. What's your process, Sumit, in terms of vetting and all? Is it similar, or do you add things to it?
We check all the backlinks, anchor text. We also check for wayback, just like you said, there should not be any kind of Chinese content and all, right? And we also check for metrics. So is it Ahref? Some people look for DR, and some people look for domain authority from most, right? So we do metrics balancing, and then we also check for link juice analysis. So for example, if a domain is in food niche, then of course we can't expect the domain is having mostly homepage link, because if a blog, if that's a blog, right, the domain must be having lots of links to inner pages, right? So as per the different niches, there could be a mix of domains which have mostly homepage links and which have some going to inner pages. So we just go with both of them. So that's not a problem.
Yeah.
We also check for Yeah, we also check for trademarks. So that's something like we are really like afraid of, because there have been times when we get like copyright issues, like when we use the
When
domain as
when
a
trying
money
to sell
site.
it, or when you just
Eh,
because I know we tried putting a few domains on GoDaddy, and it got the trademark flag, and they won't allow us to sell them. But you can still sell them outside unless you have like exact word sitting somewhere. Then that's a red
Yeah,
flag. Yeah.
yeah, like if a domain has a trademark, then I've seen it is a huge risk if you repurpose it as a money website.
Yep.
But if you just use it for free zone purpose, then it is fairly safe. Like I'm not
Correct.
saying like it is like totally risk free, but it has a very low risk when you use it for free
Yes.
zone. So
Yeah.
sometimes it happens like when we purchase any domain, then it gets a live trademark. Then we just keep that domain aside, and maybe we just like help a client who is willing to use it for 301 and take the risk, right? So
No,
so
fair
this
enough.
is our
No, good.
analysis process. Yeah. So we also
Yeah.
check if the domain has a past traffic. So past traffic is something which is optional. Like if a domain has a past traffic, then it's like a really good sign, right?
Yeah.
But it's not really necessary, right? We also check
Yeah,
for if the
for
domain
me,
is
it's not
in.
that important. I know some
Yeah.
clients get fussed about it because they might think, okay, if it's got a good link profile, but it didn't had any traffic, so it's a shit domain. But that's not true. It could be just
Yeah, that's
bad SEO practices. Maybe the previous owners did not do any good keyword research. Maybe the previous owners did not write good content. Maybe it was all duplicated content. There could be so many reasons. And if you start digging and trying to understand those things, looking at the Wayback Machine, you can find a lot of those factors why there wasn't traffic on those domains. But at the end of the day, it comes down to if a domain has good authority, it will rank, right? It will rank for the
yeah.
keywords you want. So yeah, that's the thing, mate.
Yeah, like it's just about the clients. Like some clients prefer to have a domains with traffic, so that's just their opinion, right? And
Correct.
there's one
Yeah.
more thing that we also check for domains if they have like lots of subdomains. So if there are lots of subdomains and backlinks pointing to it, so like subdomain is treated as a separate website, right?
Correct.
So I just like ignore such domains if there are like lots of subdomains registered and backlinks pointing to it, because there will be like a low number of links to the main domain, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so
And you can
there are
easily
just
pick
a
them up
few.
from the backlink profile. So if you see a lot
Yeah,
of these backlinks going to the subdomains, yeah, either it won't be regarded as a good domain because there's a lot of work to be
yeah,
done
yeah,
to get all
exactly.
that link juice flowing to the main sub domain. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's true,
and
man.
like
So
yeah,
yeah.
our most time actually gets like our most time gets spent in checking the backlink, because these days I've seen like many people are trying to spam these domains. So if there's a spike in RDs, so if a domain originally has 100 RDs, then you can
Yep.
find the domains currently has like 500 RDs. So there's a huge difference, right? But those 400 extra reference domains, they are mostly spamming. So you just have to
Yeah.
be like really careful and like checking those domains. So the writing process is really strict and it takes a lot of time. So I also
Hmm.
follow whatever you mentioned here. So yeah, this is totally good.
Something similar. Yeah. So moving on, I just want to show you two different case studies, right? So
Yeah.
this is the first one, and I posted it on my Facebook, profile as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we sold this domain, I think, back in January this year, and
Mhm.
if you can see, it had zero traffic, but it had ton of good backlinks, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a pretty
if a
strong
client
domain.
sits there and argue that this is a shit domain purely because it didn't had any past traffic, we normally show them something like that, right? Because it had like links coming from Wikipedia, Stack Overflows, from Harvard University, Huffington Post, Washington Post, and a lot more. I can't even get into that, like 570K backlinks coming from like 17,000 different websites. So the client who is currently using it, they've set it up as a technology website, and it's mostly like a blog, but it covers various topics. We help them with a lot of keyword research initially, and the point where we left them was around 60,000 searches a month. This was like 4 or 5 months ago, where we just disconnected, but since then it's just been growing, and you can see it's not a spike, it's not a sudden spike, it's been consistent growth. If you mark, if you change this all the time to 1 year, you'll see it's a consistent growth. But it comes down to acquiring a good domain, making sure you set up a niche specific website. And this website, they didn't build any backlinks. in the last 1 year. They don't need to, because it's got shitload of backlinks. You don't need to create new backlinks, but you need to repurpose the backlinks you already have. And in this case, there were a lot of backlinks that were going to inner pages. So what the clients did was they reconstructed a lot of these pages and kept them as they were. And in the other cases where they didn't want those pages, they created something similar or very close to that topic. And then they redirected that particular URL using a 404 plugin or a 301 plugin back to their new page. So what happened in that case is, they retained all the link juice across the board. And that's why they're jumping high in rankings. They're acquiring lots and lots of new keywords. And some of these keywords are like 200,000 searches a month, so they're really good. And most of the traffic is US based, as you can see, and it's been growing consistently. So this was one of the premium, domain. We sold it for around 30 grand at that point because it was really high. We acquired it for like over, a lot of money. So that's one thing. And if done properly, you can achieve success. If you look at the history, you might see, okay, it had zero traffic, but see what's happening now. And obviously, algorithms will come and go. The traffic may drop at some point. But the point that we wanted to prove is, if the domain has high authority and it's got good backlink profile, it's really easy to rank it. It's hard to rank a brand new website to that sort of traffic within that time frame, because a lot of the keywords are really, really high difficulty. They might, if you look at Ahref, they might be like 60 KD, which is like a really high keyword difficulty.
Yeah.
And you cannot simply rank those keywords without having good authority backlinks, right? So that's one of the studies, I wanted to show. The other one I wanted to show is this one. This isn't a high DR domain. It was an expired domain, and costed maybe under $100 to acquire. And if you can see, it used to have some traffic, and then it dropped, and then it sat there for a few years. Maybe I'm not sure, but maybe it was redirected to some other website. And a lot of people will argue that if you redirect a domain to another site for a couple of years, the whole link equity get transferred across. You can see in this case that's not true. It may be possible that you're still transferring across some of the link equity, but when you repurpose those links and you build a brand new website, those links are coming to this website as tier 1 now, right? And this website was set up as a directory site with a lot of blogs in it, comparison blogs and stuff, and it's been growing really good. You see this up and down. There's a reason for that, because there was one particular keyword which had 200,000 searches per month, and that keyword was fluctuating between position 1 to position 20 a lot, and that's why the traffic looks like the way it is. But it's not because there was an algo update or anything else. It's just the fluctuation of that just one keyword. But because this blog is growing over time, it's picking up a lot of new keywords. And if you look at the GSC and Google Analytics data, it's a much smoother graph in that case. But the point that I want to make here is it's not a costly domain, still ranking for a ton of keywords, really high authority keywords. Most of the traffic is Australian, and no backlinks were built on it except a few homepage PBN links, maybe 30 odd, which we built. So, a good domain, maybe costing 30 grand, or maybe a domain costing $100, you can get similar results. Yes, the comparison is different because this is mostly a US site set up as a block. This is a niche specific site. It has been set up in a particular niche, in a health niche. And so the keywords are limited, and it's Australian. So obviously the search volume is not that high. We only like 20 million people here. So from that perspective, it's grown really well. Obviously, this is a US based site. So, there is that difference between the domains, but the logic of acquiring a domain, doing proper keyword research, and setting up a niche specific site are the key principles to growth. And that's what I wanted to just demonstrate here by showing these two different examples, which are quite extreme in terms of the authority. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
That's amazing, Ravi. Like both of these case studies have some really amazing results, right? Speaking of the first case study, the
Yeah.
domain you sold for $30,000. People have this question, how do they recover the link juice? And you told me the client has recovered the pages,
Yeah.
so many pages, and for the rest of them, he just created a semi-relevant content and then just 301 to those pages,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Can you give me an idea how many pages your client created? Like just an idea.
I wouldn't have a clue, but we're talking thousands. We are talking
Okay.
lots of pages. So this site would have, since January, it would have close to 3,000 pages now. So there's a lot of content in this. And the other side as well, the last I checked, it's got nearly 600 blogs on it, right? And they're all ranking. But yeah, the theory was, do you need, so this is what you have to see. You have to see all the backlinks, and then you might say, okay, I don't need this backlink because it's coming from a spam site or it's not relevant. So either I'm going to disavow it or I'm going to just let it go. If you just let it go, it's going to a 404 page. The link juice gets stagnant, nothing happens. So there are two ways to let go of a link, right? Either you're going to disavow it or you're just going to let it sit there. The second option is you might say, okay, I need this link juice to flow. So what do we do? Either we set up the original page. If you're in a same niche site, it's a good way. You can set up the original page and then just let the link juice flow and then do interlinking and do whatever you want to do. But if you're setting a semi-relevant website, then you may not want to use that original content, or the original content has already been used somewhere else, because a lot of time there are services and there are people out there who basically deal in expired content. So what they do is they'll find expired blogs and they'll just set them up on a new site, entirely new site. But because it's unique now, because the old URL doesn't exist anymore, it becomes the new original content. And if you try to recreate that content on maybe this particular site, then your content becomes duplicate because it's already existing somewhere else. Google has dropped you from the cache. So Google doesn't know that you originally had this content. But so those things need to be considered as well. And that's why I said it's better to create something similar, which can still pick up those anchor text and stuff, and then do a 301 from the old URL to the new one within the new website. And that way you can retain the juice and then flow it around with interlinking as much as you want.
Yeah.
So we
So
use,
Ravi, do you use AI or something like that to create content, or you recommend people
We
to
do.
just have writers?
Yeah, look, it depends what sort of content you're using. For blogs and stuff, you can use AI to some degree, unless you're talking about statistics and stuff like that. Then you need hardcore data and references. But for service pages, I've seen AI is not ranking that great at this point. Since last 2 to 3 months, my understanding is, and I've spoken to a few people, that Google is not indexing page content. Google is only indexing headers. And I may be wrong, but our testing proves that if you're adding lots and lots of secondary keywords in just your H2 and H3 tags, we're getting good results by just doing that. And again, it could be a bug in Google. It could be just something that's happening in Australia. But in the last 2 to 3 months, we've seen that Google is not indexing all the page content. It's only indexing the headers of the pages. I know they're working on a new indexing feature, and I've read an article on search engine land, but there are some theories floating around there. So yeah, does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, I mean, so if an age domain has around 1,000 pages, backlinks going to 1,000 inner pages, because you can find a domain which is really, really strong, like a 60DR or 70DR, and we can expect if the domain is having thousands of backlinks going to inner pages, right? So in order to take the full advantage of the domain and its link juice, so we have to recover the pages, right?
Correct.
And since we can't just copy from the archive because of the copyright issue, and like creating the content from scratch, like by hiring writers, maybe it will cost like 4 or 5 figures maybe. So I was just asking, like if we use AI for
Yeah.
creating those content and maybe just an editor to like do the editing for thousands of pages, so do you
Yeah.
think it will like still work the same way?
Look, it will definitely work. And the thing is, you can still use the content from the way back. I don't see any copyright issue in that. If you're using it for your same site, as long as, like I said, as long as it hasn't been picked up by a company, a person out there who basically just go out and find expired content, not expired domains. People do find expired content. So if they've already picked up this piece of content and created it on a different site, then obviously if you run it through Copyscape, you will see it's a duplicate content. But as long as that scenario doesn't exist, you can still use the exact same content if it's relevant to your site. You need to be mindful that you don't want to sway away from your new site. So, like I said, if you had a site around dental and now you are setting up a site which is still in health niche, but it talks about gynecologist, for example, you don't want to recover that original dentist related content because it's going to confuse. You want to niche down and tell Google, okay, this is your new niche now, right? And that's more of an SEO thing where you need to be mindful that you don't want to confuse Google, that you're also doing gyne work as well as dental work. You may not be doing the other one. So that's important. Otherwise, you will have issues with ranking those content.
Yeah, I totally agree with it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Ravi, like, do you also redirect the pages to the homepage? Because people have this question, if I should redirect the pages to homepage or I should focus on recovering them. So what's your opinion on that?
It depends on the strategy what you're employing. If you're bringing the site to a point where you don't want to grow it that big, you may be creating a local SEO site which could be only 10 pages long, right? You 4 or 5 service pages and about us and contact us, and then you will write some blogs eventually. Then the best bet is to redirect everything to the homepage. So in this particular scenario, in the second site, that's exactly what we did. So there were a lot of small pages related to doctors, which we didn't want it to use, but we didn't want it to lose them as well because a lot of the doctors were linking out to these pages from their own personal websites. So what we did was we just redirected all of them to the homepage. In this case, you need to be mindful about one thing: your anchor text. So if, let's say, I set up a website for SEO Melbourne, on an expired domain, and I've built a page for web development Melbourne as well. Now, if the links are coming to those inner pages for the old site with the anchor text of SEO or search engine optimization or something related to SEO, yes, it's a safe bet to redirect them to the homepage. But if they are related to, let's say, backlinks or they're related to web development, I don't want to redirect them to my homepage, because when you do that, you're telling Google, okay, if you want to rank me for web development, go to my homepage. And you already have a separate page for web development. So you're going to end up confusing Google and you'll end up with keyword cannibalization. So you need to be very, very careful. If you have like brand anchors, then by all means send everything to your homepage. But if you have money keyword related anchors, you need to be a little mindful where you redirect those pages to, or else you will end up with a lot of keyword cannibalization. And we've seen those scenarios in the past. So it depends from a site to site. Every site is different, so you need to see all these things. You need to see what sort of anchors those backlinks carry, and is it wise enough to send it to homepage, or should I just keep it there, depending on the anchor text profile,
Okay, yeah,
or else you'll
that's a
create
really
more
good
issues.
tip.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good tip, like to check for anchor text before deciding if you should
correct.
redirect to homepage or recovering the pages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, there's one more question. People have this. So, whenever they want to pick any domain for building a website, so how should they go for the relevance? Because some people just go for super duper relevant domain, and like it gets like sometimes impossible to find such domains. So so like how relevant domain you think will work for building a money site without without any issues in the future, right?
Look, like even these two examples, the first one, it's not, I would say only 20 to 30% of the content is relevant to the original site. The rest is all new. But because the site has such authority, anything will rank, right? And then it comes down to, what your backlinks are, where they're coming from, what sort of anchors they're carrying, and where you want to redirect those links to. So all those factors come into play. The second one, this website, I think it talks about 50 different kind of doctors. So because it's a directory site, it talks about gynecologist, a dentist, oncologist, liver specialist, everything. And the original links that were coming were just from general practitioners, which are like your normal GPs, and they're not specialists in any kind of these trades. But the way we distributed or help the client distribute these links, it's still helping them grow. So to answer your question, again, I hate to say it, but it's a case by case thing. And I think when clients are buying these sites, we do get clients who will say, okay, we want sports related site, which should have football links. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to acquire those sites, unless you specifically go and start finding a site like that. And a lot of the clients don't want to pay you upfront or, pay a deposit. They want you to buy a site, only then to buy it off you. So it's a catch-22 on my end. And I'm sure you face similar issues where, they are very specific about a particular niche, and they want to even niche down further, so they're not asking for a sports website. They want a particular football related website or rugby related website. So it becomes hard for us to scrape such websites because, maybe those kind of websites don't come around often. So my suggestion to that is, pick a sports related website. If it's talking about, any sort of sports, Google understand, and with tools like Majestic and all, they'd usually pick up these things like, okay, what sort of topics this website is covering. Yes, you want to niche down eventually to football, but at least you have a starting point. So consider these things, either you start fresh with zero traffic, zero backlinks, nothing, and you're sitting in sandbox for 3 to 6 months, and then you slowly start to rank. It takes you a year and a half, or you pick up a site which is related to sports, and you set up a particular blog. You do some new backlinks which might be related to football. You create profile links. You go and do some web 2.0. They don't cost much, right? So you can send maybe 200 links for under $300 to some of these, to your homepage or something, and then you build a niche related website. One thing which people don't consider is that, it's not just about backlinks. You also need to have content. So if you have good content, which is relevant to a particular, so if you write 50 articles on football, Google will be convinced that it is a football related website, irrespective of what the backlinks say. Yes, the backlink will carry some authority, but you can start diluting those backlinks with your web 2.0, with some profile links, and eventually start doing some niche edits and all, which you will have to do. The whole point of buying an premium or an expired domain is not that you're never going to build backlinks. You still have to build backlinks, but you have a starting point. You're not starting from zero. Maybe you are 5 kilometers into the race already, and you only have 5 more kilometers to travel, rather than starting from zero. So that's something which I think some people don't understand, or they don't appreciate. They might think that, okay, I buy this domain, I never have to build any backlinks, and this is it. I'll set up a website and it will rank. Yes, it will, depending on what sort of domain you're picking, but there will still be some link building effort. So you can always pick a semi-niche relevant domain and then niche it down with the help of your content and additional backlinks over time. But you have a starting point. Does it make sense?
I totally agree with it. Like if people can't find a very specific niche domain, then they can go for a general domain, and then slowly they put the content in that general niche, and then slowly niche down to their specific topic, right? So that's
and
the
these
best
days,
strategy.
I'm not sure if you experiencing this, but we're getting a lot of clients from Indonesia country where they are setting up a lot of casino websites. We spoke about a few clients together, but I've made some sales to some of the clients. So they're picking random domains with high authority and setting up casino websites. And I have access to some of those Google Search Console and everything, and they are ranking pretty straightforward. within days they are getting impressions and clicks coming to their website. So those clients will struggle a bit more because they did not even pick a casino site. They picked like a site with
Non-relevant domain.
non-relevant domain, and they've set it up as a casino. If these guys can succeed, I think if you have a semi-relevant domain to your niche, you will definitely succeed, depending on how you strategize and how you plan your keywords and content and your future backlinks.
Yeah, so I think age domains is just a must thing if you are building an affiliate site or even a content site, right? Yeah. Because some people say they don't have a huge success rate. It's just a hit or miss. I don't know what's the reason, but maybe it could be possible that they just don't put efforts in putting the content and they put 4 or 5 articles, right?
Because there are like 200 ranking factors, Sumit. And when you talk about an age domain, the only factor you're considering is backlinks, which is one of the main ranking factor, but it's only one ranking factor. There are other factors sitting out there: your on page, your technical audits, your hosting speed, your schemas and all that kind of good stuff. We've got like 80 SEO projects, so we do SEO day in, day out. So I know this for a fact that it's not just picking up a domain and setting it up. Like this website, it's got really good and spot on page. We put Link Whisper plugin in there. It's got really good interlinking with 0 backlinks and not a really high authority domain. We managed to get this to 16,000 traffic, right? It's not actually 16,000. It's a bit more if you look at Google Analytics. But the only thing we did properly was SEO in here, right? The domain wasn't that strong, but the SEO, the technical audit, the on page was really strong on this one. With the other one, it doesn't matter what you put in there, it will rank because it's really high authority.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because people just buy domains I have seen and they put few articles and they expect it should rank, right? But I think if you treat the domain as a real website, like on a new domain, and just do the proper on page and everything, then you should see some better ROI than a new domain, right?
And the thing is, consider a domain as a resume, right? So if you have a half-page resume versus a 4-page resume, which person will get the job? Who's more detailed? So if you say, okay, I want to apply for this job, which is basically a keyword you want to rank for, and you put half a page of content on your resume, it's a good chance the recruiter won't even look at it. It's just chuck it in the bin. Versus if you're saying, okay, I've got all these experience for the last 5 years, you put 4 pages of experience, really detailed, good content. He's going to spend a minute and a half reading a resume, and he'll be like, okay, I want to talk to this person. Google is same. You need to convince Google, okay, you are an authority in this. You have the power of backlink, but you need to also show the power of good on-page content. So you need to write good, unique content. And that's the point I was trying to make previously, that AI, Google is getting better in picking up AI, especially GPT-3 and all. Google, because at the end of the day, it's all, codes and words and, they all come together and form sentences. So Google is getting really better in picking that up. As long as it's unique, it's content. Google will like it. It's not like it's been written by a robot. It's still a sentence which makes sense, right? So if you can present it in a way that with some statistics, with some, good headers and everything else, it will rank. But if you're just, spending 5 minutes and creating 1,000-word content and just copy pasting it and getting it up, there's a good chance it won't make sense when I start reading it. And to Google, with all this NLP and BERT update coming out in the last 2 years, there's a good chance Google won't understand it properly as well, and won't be able to create those topical clusters, in the algo, and it won't rank it. So it comes down to all these factors. We can't just blindly say, okay, it won't rank because the domain is not good. There's so many factors, and when you start looking at those factors, you take a deep dive, you try and understand why a particular piece of content's not ranking or a site is not picking up, you find these issues. I do a lot of audits daily, and, I find ton of these issues where people will have 50 words of content on their homepage, and they're like, I'm not ranking for anything.
Yeah.
How will you? You need to convince Google what this page is about. You need to tell Google with good content, proper headers, what this page is about. You need to have all your primary, secondary keyword lined up. If you're not doing that, Google won't understand the page. And if it doesn't understand the page, it will not rank a page. Simple as that.
Yeah, that's true. Like you have to treat the website like you are using like on a new domain, and you just have
Just
to
think
give
like
the
you're
best
applying for a
content out
job.
there.
You want to explain as
Yeah,
much
yeah,
as you can to the recruiter. Google is the recruiter, and you are applying for a job, and your keyword is the job. You want to rank
yeah,
for it.
yeah. So like age domain is not just the only thing like you have to do to rank a website. So there are a lot of things you have to do
It's a
after that, right?
kickstart. Yeah, it's a very, very good
Yeah,
kickstart, and it saves you years of link building and stuff.
yeah.
So if you have like you have to value, do you value your time or your money? If you value money, you start a new website, you take it slow. But if you value time, which most of us do these days, then age domain is the future, and all the big agencies are getting into it. We like with Rank Networks, we sell a lot of expired domains, where the agencies just want 2,000 finance domains to be delivered in 6 months. So we just go and scrape tons of websites, and we find all these expired domains. They will set them up as PBNs. So they'll set up like 2,000 PBNs. It goes to a pharma site, for example, and that pharma site then ranks for every damn keyword out there. You cannot beat it with white hat SEO, mate. There's no way, because there are like 2,000 homepage backlinks coming to it, and there's no way you can outrank them. But that's the strategy a lot of these companies use. They have good money to pay, but they also rank, and their ROI is really good.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So, Ravi, I think I have just one more question for you. So, like, so what's the best piece of advice you would give to someone who is using HTML?
The best piece of advice is, pick a domain in your niche first of all. If you're doing it yourself, obviously try and do all these things, or you rely on experts like yourself and me, where this work is already done. You can take the comfort that Sumit or Ravi's team has already done all these checks, because like we've spent thousands of dollars in developing scrapers and tools, and I'm sure you are doing the same thing. So a normal person or a normal agency does not have the expertise to scan 10,000 domains within a day and come up with a good domain. Yes, a lot of people are going out and bidding on these. So the best piece of advice is, if you're doing it yourself, make sure do it properly, like follow some of these steps, or buy from one of the good, domain sellers out there, SERP names or SEOdn, or there are a few others out there. And you can't go wrong with that. Of course, you'll pay a bit of premium, but there's a lot of effort to get a domain in front of you. So appreciate that. And yeah, there are a lot of good case studies and good success stories out there. I'm sure you have them, we have them. So the good thing about us is, we do SEO as well, so we can help with setting up the domains, redirection, keyword analysis, and basically just giving that kickstart, which we help this company to do. So that's a bit of advantage. Of course, we charge for that, but that service is available along with the just the domain buying you're doing. So yeah, that's the advice I would give, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So that's pretty good. So if someone is looking to purchase domain from your website and all of the SEO services, so how they can contact you? Like, what's the best way?
Yeah, so look, our portals are quite straightforward. Like with Search Combat, you can just go to clients.searchcombat.com, and it's an easy setup, and all the services, because we are a white label agency, everything is listed in there. You can buy everything in isolation, backlinks, PBNs, citations, or like you name it, everything related to SEO. For SEO domain, again, very similar to what SERP names do. We have all our domains listed within the website. We have two different sections we call like premium domains and PBN domains. So PBN domains are not like, they were not set up as PBNs, but they are cheap domains. So they are domains under $150. But some of them have really good DR, like 20 plus DR, but we price them low due to the reasons of how much we acquired them for and stuff. So you can do that. Or if you want like expired domains in bulk, you can contact us via Rank Networks. We don't buy these domains when we go and curate them. So we'll just give you a list of domains. So you might come back and say, I want 50 health related domains which have expired. We'll charge you a fee, admin fee, just to go and do all the analysis. We'll give you a list of maybe 100. If you ask for 50, we'll give you 70 or 80, and you can just pick the top 50 and register them yourself. So that's a little different model than SEOdn. In SEOdn, we own the domains. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's awesome, man. Like, it was really nice. Like, you shared lots of really good things. So, it
That's
was
all good.
nice talking to you. Yeah, it was really nice talking to
Appreciate
you,
you
and I
having
really
me on your channel,
appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
hope
was like,
people can get some value out of it. And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So, so like everyone, like, if you have any questions, you can just drop comments in the YouTube channel
Definitely.
or so whatever you see this video, right? And so maybe like Ravi and I will just try to answer all your questions. And if you're looking to buy domain names or links or other services, you can just visit Ravi's websites like Company Search, Combat, Rank Network, and SEOdn.com. Right. So yeah, thank you so much, Ravi. It was really nice talking to you. So yeah, we will. Yeah, thank you so much. So tada, like we will. Yeah. So bye. Yeah, yeah, they can contact you on Facebook, right? Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. Like, yeah. Have a nice day. Bye.